What is up, everybody? My name is Aaron Samano, and you guys already know me. And today I wanted to talk about why I think Joe Frazier is the greatest fighter of all time and very underrated. But before I start, I want to say that I've been barely passing my classes, but I'm passing. If the grades stay the same, they average them all out, I'm going to be passing. And that's if it stays like that, then I'm going to have at least one fight during the summer. And I've been training a while for this. So all my other fights have been canceled because of my grades. But now I'm finally getting a chance. But anyway, let's get into the video now. The first reason I'm gonna go over. He had the biggest heart of boxing, and that's really hard to try to find another person who had a bigger heart than him. And my first example of this is he got battered in the Foreman fight. The ref had to step in. He didn't want to quit. He kept on moving forward. He got up. He kept on going like this to the ref, and he wanted to fight. You can't. It was like a Rocky scene. He never gave up. He got knocked down over 5 times. He got up every time. And eventually the ref said, "You know what? You're taking enough. Stop the fight." And it took the ref stepping in. He never stopped. And also in the Lee fights, the one where his coaches threw in the towel, he was mad at that. He did not want them to throw in the towel, and he was a little angry about that. And then also, I got the second point. He had a very underrated defense. He would use a cross guard. Cross guard is a risky one. It's high risk, high reward. It's compared to something like low risk, low reward. For example, like an out boxer, like Ali, where he'd step out, move around, and he'd just throw jabs, crosses, and he wouldn't really go in and take shots and exchange shots. Frazier, he was like, alright, I'm closing the distance by going like that. He just move his head here, get the cross guard up, and then he strike up, boom. Hit him with one in the body, hit him with one in the head. He'd switch it up, down, boom, and he'd hit him like that. He was really smart. And his head movement was really underrated. And cross guard is very tricky because if you were to use cross guard and squat, not use your back and lean, not going to end up well for you, because if you squat, you're leaving it like this. It's still like this, versus if you go like that, it's harder to hit right here. It's harder to hit here and here. You're going to really have to try to time it perfectly. And not many people could do that, not even Ali. Which goes on to the third point. Frazier, without a doubt, had the best fights with Ali. And to top it off, he gave Ali the fight of his life. The first fight, he obviously beat Ali. That one, I'm not going to go over because it's pretty obvious. Fight 2 is very controversial. He should have beat Ali. In fact, the press and the experts thought he did. But they gave it to Ali for some reason. And some people might argue the same. Why would they give it to Ali? There's not a past history of them giving something to Ali that he didn't earn. Look at the Norton fight. And I think it was the second one. I can't remember which Norton fight it was. But there was one where Ali was surprised that he won. In fact, even in the interview, he was questioning why he won. And he was like, "Man, I was surprised when I won." And it's just like, Norton was mad. He didn't think that he won. He thought he lost. He thought that he won and that Ali lost. So that's proof that they have given it to Ali before. And then back to the second fight. If you see, he battered Ali in the ribs. He messed him up. And a lot of experts think that his Parkinson's, that like the brain damage, you know what Parkinson's is, right? Brain damage and stuff. A lot of people think that Ali got Parkinson's because of the fatal blows that he took from Frazier and Norton, obviously, and all of his other opponents, but mainly Frazier being the biggest impact because he had the strongest hook. I also want to get on to my next point, which was nothing deterred him. Nothing did. Which plays into the heart role, but it's a little different. Ali trash talked him so much, and he actually would insult him and be racist towards him. He'd call him a gorilla, an Uncle Tom, a white person in a black person's body, a white people's person, meaning like to where, oh, you might as well be white, which is the same thing as saying Uncle Tom and black man in a white person's body. I mean, a white person in a black man's body, but it's also saying go along, be with the white people like you're supposed to. And he faced his own people from the black community and people from the white community. In fact, he was at one point, like, Ali told him at one point Ali told him to go kill himself. Or I mean, not to go kill himself. That he was going to kill him. He said, "I'll shoot you." When Ali said that, he then apologized to Frazier's son. He said, "I didn't mean that. It's all for show." But Frazier, he didn't take that. He said, he told him in his face. He said, "Don't say sorry to my son. Say sorry to me." And he spoke his mind. He wasn't afraid of anyone, and he just fought his heart out completely. He gave everything he had, and he went through so much controversy. It's really insane. I don't think that he got the credit he deserved. A lot of people. Oh, and at one point, in one of the fights, Ali took a gorilla, like a gorilla toy. I think it was a gorilla, and he put it up to Frazier like that, and was going like that with it, and was like saying, "This is you," and saying stuff like that. You know how Ali talks. And then Frazier looked at him, and instead of how other fighters would be like, "Man, this dude's insulting me. I don't like this," and feeling down. He looked at him. He went like this, and he laughed and smiled at him. It's because he's like, "Oh, you're just giving yourself even more of a reason for me to beat you up." And he just never really got the credit he deserved. And that also plays into the next one. He fought. I'm only gonna name two because I don't want to name all. He fought two of the most toughest opponents you can ever fight. He fought Foreman and Ali. Against Ali, he should have won two out of the three matches, but the third one was to where his coaches threw in the towel. But he actually didn't, and it was a surprise to everyone when he lost the second meet. But nevertheless, he faced Ali and he gave him his best, and Ali gave him his best. They brought the best out of each other. Foreman battered him, but you gotta remember, Frazier wasn't in the same shape that he was against Ali. And to top it off, he had shoulder problems, he had back problems, he had his knuckles were getting jacked up, obviously. He busted bones and all that already. But he still went into the fights. And even at that, the ref had to step in to stop it. And his kind of style was made for Foreman. Because his kind of style, it was to where, if you look at the fight, you could see the size difference. Foreman, he would go like this, and when he would do it to Frazier would go flying back, but he'd still come forward. And he would throw a hook at Frazier, cross guard, it was a boom, boom. That's how powerful Foreman was. So it was like a match made in heaven for Foreman, because it was like, compared to Ali though, it was a perfect matchup for both of them, because it's going to be a good fight. And there's all that stuff that happened. And I want to actually go back to the fight thing, the Ali fights. And the third one, Ali said that he was going to quit. Ali wanted to quit. And it's kind of crazy because it was reversed. Ali wanted to quit, and his coaches didn't really want him to quit. And then Frazier didn't want to quit, but his coaches wanted to quit. They wanted to throw in the towel. Frazier's corner wanted to throw in the towel. Ali wanted to throw in the towel. But they threw in the towel before Ali did. And Ali said that he didn't know how he was going to be able to get up if Frazier did. And it was crazy because, like, people never noticed what Frazier went through, and he's still trying. And anyway, like, I just don't think that Frazier got the credit he deserved. And if you look at how much Ali is worth, how much he made, his net worth is really big, and he made quite a bit of money. And Frazier, in the beginning, he fought his heart out for peanuts. Peanuts. That means to where he's like barely making money. And it's crazy because even at that, he did it because he loved the sport. He didn't do it for the money. He did it for the sport itself. And an example of a fighter who originally did it for the money, but then ended up loving it, is Marcos Maidana. Frazier was the complete opposite. He did it because he loved boxing, and then the money was like something like, oh, okay, sweet, I got money, whatever. And people don't realize how much he put his heart out into the sport. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. And if you look at Title has these shirts for Ali. I think they have one from Liston. They have one from Marciano, I think. Dempsey. They have one for all these fighters. And then Frazier, you can't find Frazier anywhere. He's always overlooked, and he's always seen as sometimes he's seen as that's the one who got destroyed by Foreman, right? And it doesn't really seem right that one of the greatest of all time, I'd say the greatest, doesn't really get the credit he deserves. Despite him literally knocking down Ali in spectacular fashion. And he wasn't a flashy fighter. He was he was old school gritty. Okay, so if you were to look at the original prize fighting back in you can even go to the 1950s, to where how Marciano was. He'd go in there, just try to battle them and stuff. That's how Frazier fought. And he also came, another thing I gotta say is he came from a tougher background than a lot of what people say that, oh, look at what Ali triumphed. Ali actually, if you look, he grew up in Louisville, and he wasn't poor, middle class. Frazier grew up in Beaufort, South Carolina, and he was poor. His family was poor, he was farming. And then, at the age of 14, so my age, he moved to Philadelphia, which I'm not going to be able to move to Chicago until I'm at least 18. That's when I'm able to actually move. So he moved out from an early age and strived on his own. It got to the point to where actually the punching meat thing, you see in Rocky, he influenced that. Without Frazier, there's been so much he's influenced. A lot of people talk about what Ali's influence, but without Frazier, Rocky Balboa wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't take place in Philly. He wouldn't be punching. It wouldn't show him being poor. It literally not really be the Rocky we know. He wouldn't be punching, which I think is pretty unfair to Frazier, because Frazier wasn't. If they're fully basing it off of Frazier, that's not fair, because Frazier was really actually smart. He just chose boxing. He had to work really hard for his stuff. He developed his hook so much that I bet you could take Tyson. Tyson's considered the one who has the best hook of all time. You take Frazier, put him on a punching, on a heavy bag, and make them both throw a lead hook up top and one at the bottom. I bet you Frazier has more power. I bet you he does. He's one of those fighters that his strength is undeniable. In fact, a lot of people think he has the strongest left hand in the whole entire sport, which I agree with. And some people, like, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, because if you look at Tyson, some people will be like, oh, Tyson, are you serious? Tyson would destroy Frazier in this match. But they never really know what Frazier did. Like, Frazier is somebody who, he triumphed. He went through a lot, and he came out victorious. And I don't think that Frazier ever really was like a cash cow like Ali was. Ali brought in the money because he was flashy. He moved around, you know, he do that kind of stuff. Frazier went in there, old school style, and finished the fight. That was how he wanted to roll. And also, I want to just add one more little point. Frazier got stronger, not weaker, stronger as the fight went on. Sometimes he was an early starter, but sometimes he was a late starter, and then in the late rounds, you better watch out, because he was going to come for you. And Frazier was one of those who, while others got weaker, he got stronger. And that's perfect in the pros. And that actually worked out to his advantage very well, than being a quicker starter than others. And that's the talent that not many others had. He had a second wave. Some fighters do have second waves, and then there's others who don't. But overall, I think that Frazier probably had some of the best stamina ever, because he would move in there and he would throw heavy shots, and he would come out of the round and he'd still be fresh for the next one. But anyway, that's all I gotta say today. I hope y'all agree with me. If you don't, tell me who you think is the greatest. And I bet you a lot of them are going to be Ali, because people usually say Ali or Tyson are the greatest, which I don't agree with. I don't think Mayweather's the greatest either. I think that, I could see a case for Rocky Marciano, maybe Joe Louis. I can see it for like those kind of fighters, but the newer ones, I can't see it. I can't see it happening. But anyway, thank you guys all for watching. Hopefully I'll make a video sometime next week. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys all later.